I'm joined via Google Hangout by Sean Newman, who's the national spokesperson for Adult World, and we're going to discuss the rather controversial store that's being opened outside Parliament. Thanks for joining me, Sean.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Sean, Parliament, the new store that's set to open outside Parliament, has been in the works for a very long time, hasn't it?
Yes, the store did open in 2004. It ran for about 2 years, and then they decided to close down because we had other leases in the area, and we were paying landlords for that space. You know, we do own the building in Plain Street, so it was always going to be an option that we could just go back there whenever we needed to. So one or two leases ended in the area, and a decision was taken that the time was right to return the store back to the Plain Street building.
But of course, I mean, Parliament was going in 2004, so why the stink now?
Well, apparently they did throw quite a stink back in 2004. I mean, the irony of it is that the business licenses for the business to run, I mean, I've seen them and I've got copies of them. They say for health and entertainment dash adult entertainment store. And the irony of the whole situation is that we sit in a position where, if you look back in 2004, the ANC were actually running the provincial government. So it was their own provincial legislature that accepted our business license and approved it.
Right, now let's talk about those licenses a little bit more. The City of Cape Town is now currently looking into those licenses because there are claims that the Adult World store doesn't have the proper licenses it needs. So by way of explanation, you would need special permission from the Film and Publications Board along with other licenses to run the store. Now, City of Cape Town are saying they don't have these licenses, but you're saying you have them on record.
Well, the Film and Publication Board license, there was a bit of a confusion about. We had a license for 2004. They felt that we needed to update the license, which we did last week prior to opening the store. So that license has been renewed now in 2014, and it is valid. And the other license is obviously for any business in Cape Town, in any city, you need your business license to operate. And that was approved back in 2004 and is attached to the building. So the licenses are definitely up to date and in place.
Right, so you're saying that the license from 2004 stands and this issue is moot?
Absolutely. There is no legal standing on this whole matter, and that's the fun part of it, is that should they wish to take it to court and should they wish to push it through the legal channels, it's something that the business would welcome. I mean, Adult World is not a business that likes controversy. It's not one that courts controversy, but I think in this circumstance they will stand up for their rights because it is a legal tax-paying entity. You know, there's 60 stores nationwide and 59 of them can run wherever they like. It's the one that seems to have an absolute issue. At the same time, there's 400 employees and there's a lot of tax that gets paid out of this industry.
Sean, let's talk about the so-called moral issues around the opening of an Adult World outside Parliament. Of course, this is the ANC's main bug, that there's going to be a sex store essentially outside Parliament, and the ANC wants people to feel free and welcome to visit, including children and perhaps people who wouldn't be happy to walk past a sex store. So what is Adult World's response to that?
Well, I think first of all, the first stage that is set with Adult World is that their signage outside is pretty much a blackout situation. So the store hasn't got major displays outside of toys and lingerie and DVDs because that's in bad taste. You actually have to physically go through the doors, round the corner and through a security gate. Obviously, if you're under 18, you're not going to get through that gate. You know, it's a choice situation. And, you know, when it boils down to the morals, I'm a firm believer in, politicians and their morals should be kept to a Sunday in church and on a Monday go and institute the Constitution and serve the public. At the end of the day, you know, maybe if they stopped looking up at that word or that name, Adult World, and started looking down at all the homeless people on the streets outside, the forgotten people, I'm pretty sure if politicians actually took note of the fact that, you know, the disenfranchised and the people who feel they have no place in this world, the ones without jobs, the ones without homes, the ones without electricity, without sanitation, without the right to human dignity, I'm sure if you ask those people, they'd be a lot less worried about Adult World and a lot more worried about how these parliamentarians are going to best serve their interests, because we're a government of the people and for the people. And I don't see how attacking an adult shop across from an institution is going to serve those people best.
In fact, Sean, you've gone on the record to say that it was the very same government who fought for freedom of expression and freedom for people to do what they want. It's this government who are now telling you that you can't have a store outside of this institution.
Well, pre-94, we had the censorship board. We were told what we could read, what we couldn't read, what we could watch, what we couldn't watch, what was morally right, what was morally wrong. And then we had this wonderful thing called democracy come in, and all the people in the country voted for it, and we all stood in queues, and ultimately now we have the most free and fair constitution in the world, but we have one party that is deciding what is allowed within the constitution and what's not allowed. And I've heard comments this last week since State of the Nation address, where certain members of the ANC have had the gall to turn around and say, yes, freedom, but it's not absolute. Now, I don't know where in the Constitution we are told that they will decide how they limit that freedom and how they limit that choice and how our freedoms that were fought for and blood was shed from all parties' side to attain is going to be instituted.
Sean, if it comes down to legal action, would Adult World be willing to stand up in a court to defend their right to have the store on Plain Street?
Absolutely. I think it's a constitutional right that the store that the group has to take. It's a stand that has to be taken, because ultimately today it's an adult store, tomorrow it's anything else that is deemed, not within the public interest. And I think that is the glorious thing about a democracy is we have the choice. The store may be there, and whether or not people decide to go in or not, they have the choice. And I think that's a lot of what I picked up on social media. It's not necessarily that people agree with the concept of the store or what it sells. It's the fact that it is there, and who are these politicians to be saying that this is allowed and this isn't allowed, when our constitution quite clearly states that this is a legal tax-paying entity. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in business. And pre-94, we weren't. So ultimately, I think, yes, it is the constitutional right and duty of a group like Adult World that when these kind of things crop up, they have to be tackled and they have to be set straight.
Sean Newman, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.